Hey friends, welcome to another fun sew along. This time we are sewing up the Songbird Crossbody from Cherishing Today's Designs, and I am super excited to get this sewn up and to see y'all's creations as well because this is just a gorgeous bag and I cannot wait. So you are going to need some exterior fabric, you are going to need some lining fabric, and also some interfacing. For my exterior, I am using vinyl, but you can use canvas or woven. If you use canvas or woven, you're going to need some extra interfacing pieces. So you are going to need to cut out a few things. You're going to need a D-ring tab, a slip pocket. These are from your bottom exterior pieces. And then from your main exterior piece, you're going to need 2 flat pieces, and then from your accent, you're going to need 2 flat pieces cut mirror image to your 2 main pieces. So you'll have 4 flat pieces, 2 in your main exterior going one way, and 2 in your accent exterior going the mirror image, and then you're going to need 4 lower exterior pieces. And then for your lining, you're going to need a zipper tab. I used some of my exterior fabric just because that's what I wanted to use. You're also going to need you're going to need 2 zipper pocket pieces, a slip pocket piece this is all your lining, and then you're going to need 4 pieces of your lining. 2 of them are going to be mirror images. So you're going to have 2 one-way and 2 mirror. The way that I did this is I just folded my fabric in half and cut 2 pieces out that way. That way I knew they were mirror. Okay, and then again, because I am doing vinyl for my exterior, the only interfacing I have is 1 piece of interfacing for my slip pocket, and then 2 mirror image pieces for my lining. If you are using woven or canvas for your exterior, you're going to want some interfacing in that as well. You're also going to need a strap. I am doing the crossbody, so I did a 60-inch strap. You can use webbing. I made my strap out of some of the vinyl that I had because I thought it would look nice. You're going to need some zipper tape. You'll need 1 10-inch zipper tape and 2 9 5/8 zipper tapes. You're going to want 3 zipper pulls to go with your zippers, of course. And then 2 D-rings. I'm just using regular D-rings. In the instructions, she does mention using screw-on ones, but I'm not using that. And then I have 2 attaching pieces and a slider piece. Okay, so now that we have everything cut out, and we are going to prepare some of our pieces. So the first thing we're going to do is prepare our D-ring tab. So we're going to take that D-ring tab and we're going to fold it together, wrong sides together. Just fold it in half, and then if you want to, you can mark that half line just to help you see it a little bit better. Then what we're going to do is take the 2 raw edges, the 2 long raw edges, and we are going to fold those in so that they meet at that center point line. If you have double-sided tape, this is a great use for it, adding it to it. I didn't have any that actually sticks, so what I ended up doing after I folded my ends into the middle, I just used clips to hold them in place, but double-sided tape really would be a huge asset to this project, especially when you get to the zipper pocket, but clips worked okay for me. So you're just going to make sure that those folds are secured in, and we are going to sew just top stitch 1/8 of an inch on either side of this tab. I am using just a regular sewing machine to make this whole thing. When I'm sewing with vinyl, I make sure to have a leather needle, and I use a Teflon presser foot. It helps a lot with pushing the vinyl through and it not sticking too much. So our D-ring tab is top stitched. As you can see, the fold is still open, which is going to be okay because when we do the next steps, it'll be all covered. So we are going to fold the tab in half, matching up those short raw edges, and then we're just going to snip it right in half. And then So now we've got two pieces. So we're going to take one of them and we are going to feed it through one of our D-rings. Had to just clean up those little snips. So we're going to feed it through the D-ring and just fold it in half and then clip it to keep it secure. And then we're just going to do the same thing to the other one. You want to make sure that that open fold is on the inside when you fold it in half so that it's all covered up and not visible. So now what we're going to do is we are just going to sew right along the top edge of these D-ring tabs, just baste them shut with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, so our D-ring tabs are all prepared. So let's go ahead and set those aside, and let's pull out our interfacing and I'm using lining. If you're using an exterior like woven or canvas that needs a little bit more stability to it, you'll want to interface those pieces as well. But we're just going to go ahead and match our interfacing up to our separate pieces, making sure that your mirror image interfacing is on the wrong side of your mirror image of your exterior or your lining pieces. So just put your interfacing on the wrong side of all your pieces that need to be interfaced. All right, once your interfacing is all lined up, just take it over to your iron and press it on. So now we are going to take those lining pieces and we are going to make a couple marks on them. So we need to use the mirror image ones. So the ones that have the angle going from up top on the left down to the bottom on the right. We are going to make turning marks so that when we go to sew these, we know exactly where to start and stop so that we have enough room to turn our bag. So what we need to do is we need to measure 2 3/4 inches from each side of those two lining pieces. You're going to want to make sure to do that on the wrong side or your interfaced side, because that's the side that you're going to see when you're sewing. So 2 3/4 inches from each side, and you're going to do that to both of these mirror lining pieces. All right, so the next thing to prep is our strap. In the instructions, she does recommend using webbing. I made mine out of vinyl. Totally fine, whatever you choose. Also in the instructions, she suggests using rivets. I didn't have any, so I'm just going to sew this thing on. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach it to our slider by taking the short raw edge and feeding it up through one side of the slider and down through the other so that it's on that middle, that crossbar there. And then we're just going to fold it over about 1 inch and then top stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from that raw edge. Awesome, so our slider is attached to our strap. Now what we're going to do is we are going to attach one of the D-ring clips. So on the opposite side, so the other short raw edge, you're just going to feed a D-ring clip on there, and then you're going to just bring it down halfway, however far you want, to give you enough room now to feed the short edge. Yeah, make sure your strap doesn't get twisted up. But we're going to feed that other short raw edge up through the one side of the slider, and then we're going to feed it down the other side. So it's going to go across or over top of that middle bar that we did. And we are just going to go ahead and feed that through. Make sure you give yourself enough room. Because I use vinyl, it doesn't slide quite as nicely as I would have liked. I think that's where the webbing would be a good idea, but because of the fabric choices I made for my purse, I was like, this vinyl would be perfect. Yeah, that's what's nice about making your own bag, right? You get to do your own thing and customize it to how you like. But okay, so now that I've got my strap figured out here, more or less, what we're going to do is we're going to take this other D-ring clip and we're going to feed it through the short raw edge that we have left, and then just fold that in half. Again, if you have rivets, that's what she recommends. I don't, so I'm just sewing it. Fold it over about 1 inch, and then we're going to sew about 1/8 of an inch away, top stitch it along that raw edge. All right, so our strap is all prepped and ready to be added to the bag once it's finished. I love the little clips because it's going to be super easy to put it on, and yeah, we don't have to worry about sewing it later. So, all right, now we are going to work on our slip pocket piece. So grab your exterior slip pocket and grab your interior slip pocket. Mine I interfaced just to give it a little extra weight. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take these two pieces and lay them right sides together, aligning that top raw edge. Go ahead and pin or clip, I prefer clips, but along that top edge, and then we're going to sew right along there using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So to make sure that this seam isn't super bulky when we go to attach it to our bag, we are going to just make a little angled clip starting as close to those stitches on the side as you can get and just angle up to the top. Make sure you don't clip over your stitches, but just get as close as you can get. All right, and then what we're going to do now is we are going to bring that lining and the exterior piece around so that now they are wrong sides together. And then just kind of make sure that the lining piece is nice and tucked under, and then we are going to top stitch right along the top of this piece here using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. All right, so our slip pocket is all prepped and top stitched. Now what we are going to do is we are going to take one of our exterior pieces and lay it right sides up and put the slip pocket on so that the lining is towards the right side of the exterior piece. And then pin or clip starting at the top of that exterior of the slip pocket all the way around. And then what we're going to do is we are just going to baste around the bottom of this from the top of the slip pocket all the way around to the other side of the slip pocket. And this is just going to hold this pocket in place when we attach everything later. So definitely don't skip this part. Super important when you go to attach everything. All right, so our slip pocket is all prepped and ready to be added to our bag when it's time. So let's go ahead and set that aside and grab out a second exterior piece. We are now going to prep our exterior zipper pocket. So laying your exterior piece right sides down, so your wrong side will be facing up, we are going to measure 1 1/4 inch down from that long straight edge and just draw a line all the way across horizontally. Okay, so now that we've got our horizontal line all drawn out, what we're going to do is we are going to measure 1 3/8 inches over from the left side. So starting at your left side, measure 1 3/8 inches over. And then what we are going to make a vertical line that is 1/2 inch centered on that horizontal line. So 1/4 inch above and 1/4 inch below. And then we are going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So measure 1 3/8 inches and then make sure your line goes from 1/4 inch below and 1/4 inch above. So that's what I'm checking there. It's just that my line isn't too long. So once we have that all figured out, now what we're going to do is we are going to measure 3/8 inches in from that vertical line. Sorry, my ruler is awful, so it was really hard for me to get these measurements just right. But you're going to line the 3/8 inch mark up with that vertical line. And then what we need to do is, after we have that measurement, that 3/8 inches over, on the horizontal line, we are going to mark, just making with like a little dot. So you'll have the horizontal line, 2 vertical lines, and 3/8 inches from that vertical line will be a dot. Okay, and then once we have these measurements figured out, what we need to do now is we are going to attach the top of our vertical line to the dot, and then the bottom of our vertical line to the dot. And we're going to do that on both sides. Now that we've got our guide marks all drawn in, we are going to take some scissors or a seam ripper, whatever you've got, and we are just going to very carefully cut along the two diagonal lines, and then across that horizontal line we made, and then all the way over to that dot that we created, and then up those diagonal lines to the top of the vertical line that we created. So you'll be going from the top of the vertical line to the dot, the bottom of the vertical line to the dot, all the way across the horizontal line, and then the same on the other side. Here is another spot where if you have double-sided tape, this works wonders. Again, I don't, so I didn't have any that sticked. So what you're going to do now is we're just going to fold those pieces in and get them sticking and clipping so that the pieces are out of the way. So when we go to add the zipper, it's just easier. Double-sided tape, glue, really anything to help these pieces stick. I ended up just last resort trying to use clips, and it worked, but it wasn't great, especially when you get the zipper in there. There's no way. So I really, really recommend trying, like, if you don't have double-sided tape, just glue it. Just take it from me. Don't repeat my mistakes here. Okay, now that those pieces are out of our way and we've got our zipper opening all prepared, we need to prep our zipper pocket pieces. So go ahead and take one of your lining pocket pieces and your 10-inch zipper tape. Your pocket lining piece is going to be right side up and your zipper tape is right side up. So the wrong side of your zipper tape will be to the right side of your pocket piece. Line them up on that long top raw edge there. And go ahead and pin or clip it. And then what we're going to do is we are just going to sew them together with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to flip that pocket piece down or flip the zipper up. Either way, you're going to push the pocket piece so that it's not laying over the zipper. And we are going to take our other pocket piece and lay it right sides up, and then line that raw edge of the wrong side of the zipper to the right side of the other pocket piece. So your first pocket piece should be completely out of the way. You won't be sewing that when you attach the other zipper part. And we are just going to sew 1/8 inch away right along that raw edge. Okay, so the zipper tape is fully on our pocket pieces. Now what we're going to do is we need to attach the zipper pull, and then if you have some double-sided tape, add that to either side of your zipper. I found some double-sided tape. Again, you'll see it does not stick well at all. So there it goes. But it definitely it is a huge asset here. If you don't have double-sided tape, again, glue works great. Pins in last resort if you have to. But so we are going to now center this zipper in our zipper opening for our exterior zipper pocket piece. I opened my zipper partially. Probably when you are attaching it, I would make sure your zipper is all the way closed just so that it's easier to just gauge the center point of the whole thing without the the front of your zipper open, spreading apart. So just make sure that it's aligned right in that zipper opening. Okay, so once you've got your zipper tape centered in your zipper opening, you are going to make sure that your pocket pieces are up towards the top of your exterior piece, and then we're just going to top stitch an 1/8 inch around the entire opening there. All right, so once that's all top stitched, we are now going to finish up the interior pocket piece. So bring your top pocket piece down towards your front pocket piece. And when you do this, there's going to be some overlap. One piece is going to be bigger than the other. My camera didn't record when I cut it off, so I had to redo this. But so here you can see there's going to be a little bit of excess. Go ahead and trim that off and then clip around the 3 openings. So you have an opening on the side, the bottom, and the other side. Clip around that, and then we are just going to sew all the way around that using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now both of our exterior pocket pieces are prepped. So go ahead and grab your slip pocket from earlier, your exterior slip pocket, and your 2 other exterior pieces. So you'll have 1 zip exterior, 1 slip pocket exterior, and then 2 exterior pieces with nothing on them. With your 2 pocket pieces and your 2 main exterior pieces, you are going to line up that straight raw edge on both of those pieces. So the angle should be going from the left is the smallest to the right at the longest. And then do the same thing with your accent pieces. So on these ones, you're going to attach them or line them up with the straight raw edge of your other 2 exterior pieces, bottom exterior pieces that don't have any pockets on them. And the angle will be going from the right to the left then. All right, so now that we've got those all lined up, grab the exterior piece with your zipper pocket and your main exterior flap piece and put them right sides together, lining up that straight raw edge. And then go ahead and pin or clip that. And then what we're going to do is we are just going to do that to all 4 pieces. We are just going to put them right sides together, aligning up the long raw edges and pinning or clipping them together. And then once we're done with that, we're going to sew them together with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. right, so all of our exterior flap pieces are now attached to an exterior bottom piece. What we're going to do is we're going to open these pieces up and bring that seam allowance down towards the exterior bottom piece. So you can just finger press it, you can press it if you're using vinyl. I just finger pressed, and then I used clips to make sure it stayed down that way. And then just do that to all 4 pieces, making sure the seam allowance is down towards the bottom exterior piece. And then once all that's done, we are going to top stitch that seam allowance down to the bottom exterior piece using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. All right, so all of our exterior pieces are now prepped and top stitched. So we're going to set aside the accent pieces and pull out our D-ring tabs. So we are going to attach the D-ring tabs to the right side of our exterior zipper pocket and flap pocket pieces. So measuring 3/8 inches down from where the exterior flap and the exterior bottom piece meets on the right side, we're just going to measure 3/8 inches down, and you can mark or just attach, just put your clip right where it needs, your D-ring tab right where it needs to be. But either way, you're going to make a little mark 3/8 inches down on the right side. This is super important. So make sure it's on the right side of your piece there. Measure 3/8 inches down, and then we are just going to pin or clip that D-ring tab to that exterior piece, to the right side of the right side. So right sides together on the right side of that exterior piece. Then grab your exterior slip pocket, measure 3/8 inches down on the right side again. I know it seems really twisted, like why am I putting both of these on the right side? But it does work out in the end, so trust the process. On the right side where the exterior flap and the exterior bottom meet, you're going to measure 3/8 inches down, make a little mark, and then attach, or then put your D-ring on that mark, your D-ring tab, starting right at the corner of it, starting at that mark, and pin or clip it right sides together on the right side, just like on the other one. So for the sake of balance on the bag, you want to make sure that both your D-ring tabs are the same distance apart, just to help with the balance of everything. So if it looks off, remeasure and figure it back out. Then get them all clipped on. And what we're going to do now is we are going to attach the D-ring tabs to the exterior pieces using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, our D-ring tabs are now attached to our exterior pieces. Now what we are going to do is we are going to measure and mark on all of our exterior pieces where our exterior zippers are going to start and end. So from the left side of one of the exterior pieces, you're just going to measure 1 inch over and mark it, and then do the same thing to the right side. Just measure 1 inch over and mark it, and then do that to all 4 pieces, so the 3 remaining pieces, just measuring from 1 inch over from either side. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and grab one of the exterior and accent pieces and laying it so that wrong side is up, we are going to measure 2¼ inches from each side and draw a vertical line going down. All right, so once we have the 2 vertical lines going down, we are now going to measure 2¼ inches up from the bottom and draw a horizontal line connecting those 2 vertical lines. All right, so now we are going to prep our zipper tape. So the first thing we need to do is take one of your zipper tapes, and you are going to just slightly separate the zipper, and then we are going to measure 5/8 inches down from the top edge on both sides. All right, so now that we have those marks on our zipper tape, what we're going to do is we are just going to kind of pinch right where that mark is, and that's going to bring the fabric of the zipper tape up, and then you're going to bring the end of the zipper tape to the side about a 90-degree angle. So your fabric will lay, it'll kind of fold in on itself. I'm trying to do it several times here because I know it was kind of hard for me to wrap my head around it until I did it, and I was like, oh, this makes total sense. So yeah, just kind of pinch it up so that it creates a little bit of a little bit of a fold there, and then move the zipper's head 90-degree angle so that it creates a 90-degree then angle with the top of the zipper. I'm hoping I'm making sense here and not speaking, I don't know. In my mind, it's kind of crazy. It's hard to wrap around, but hopefully between seeing it and me explaining it, it makes sense. But yeah, so you're going to do that on both of the zipper tape. Okay, and then once both of the zipper tapes now are prepped by, being at that angle, we are just going to sew straight down on either side just to baste those pieces, baste it together so it doesn't try and straighten back up. All right, if you're thinking something looks a little off here, I apologize. My camera didn't record this next step until it just didn't record, and I didn't realize it until after I had started putting the video together. So I am using a different zipper tape and a different fabric just to give an example of this next step. So I apologize if it's a little confusing, but you are going to now take your zipper tab and you are going to fold it in half, wrong sides together. And you can go ahead and make a mark on that crease if you want. If you have double-sided tape, go use it, put it on each side of the fold. And then we're going to take those raw edges and fold them in so that they meet in the middle. So each raw edge into that middle crease that we made. Then what we're going to do now is you can press this. If you have more double-sided tape, put it on either side of the now folds. And then take your zipper tape and put it in right up to that middle crease again, the end of your zipper tape, so the straight edge, not the one that we just sewed. And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing to both zipper tapes. So both zipper tapes will be on the same zipper tab. And then once that's done, we are just going to sew 1/8 of an inch, top stitch 1/8 of an inch on that fold right there. For this, we're just going to cut this where there's that space so that we have 2 zipper tapes. All right, I know this shows the exterior slip pocket, but this is actually going to be your zipper pocket piece. Again, my camera didn't record it, so I apologize. Take one of your zipper tapes and you're going to line it right sides together with this exterior piece, with the zipper opening at the mark we made on the left and the zipper end at the mark we made on the right. Just line that up on the top raw edge, and then we are going to baste it together with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Alright, so now that the zipper is basted onto our exterior piece, we are going to take one of our mirrored lining pieces and lay it right sides together with this exterior piece. So the zipper, the top of the zipper that we just attached, is going to be sandwiched in between the exterior piece and the lining. So match up the raw edge of that angle piece, go ahead and pin or clip it across, and then we are going to attach them together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so our lining is now attached to our exterior piece in our zipper. So what we're going to do is we are going to bring that lining piece up so it's out of our way, and bring the seam allowance then down towards the exterior piece. So just clip that down, and once it's ready, once it's all clipped down, we're gonna go ahead and top stitch that 1/8 of an inch away. So make sure you're not top stitching the lining piece as well. The lining piece needs to be out of the way when you're top stitching this. Okay, so now it is time to attach our other exterior piece to this zipper. So take your accent exterior piece, not the one that we drew the box around, but the opposite one. So with the zipper pocket, we are going to have the one that doesn't have the box attached to it. And I'm sorry, I know it's a little confusing because of my recording got messed up. But so the zipper pocket's now prepped. We are going to put the accent piece that doesn't have the box drawn on it with it. So lay the accent piece right side up and attach the zipper tape right sides together, again with the this time the start of the zipper tape is going to be on the right side and the end is going to be on the left side where we made those marks earlier. And then we are just going to baste it together using 1/8 inch seam allowance. All right, now it is time to add the lining piece to this accent flap piece. So grab one of the non-mirrored lining pieces. You'll see, because the flaps will line up, in other words, the angle will be opposite. And put it right sides together so that your zipper tape is now sandwiched between your exterior and your lining. Line up that diagonal, that slanted raw edge. Pin or clip it together, and then we are going to attach it using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, just like we did with the other flap piece on the other side, we are going to bring the lining up and out of our way and bring that seam allowance down towards the exterior accent piece. Just pin or clip that so that it's nice and laying flat for you. and then we are going to top stitch it 1/8 of an inch away, again making sure that the lining is out of the way, but also make sure that your other exterior piece is out of the way. You don't want to get that in it as well. Okay, so now we have one set of our bag all done, exterior and lining. We are just going to go ahead and set that aside now and take our other exterior and main flat piece. So the one with the slip pocket this time. I promise it's right this time. So you're going to grab your exterior piece with the slip pocket and your other zipper tape and line the raw edge of your zipper tape with the opening on matching up to that left mark, or the mark that we made on the left hand side, and the end of your zipper tape lining up to the mark we made on the right hand side, just like what we did with the other main exterior flat piece. Line it up, raw edge, and then baste it together using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. All right, so you know the drill. Grab your mirror lining piece so your angles will match up there, and just lay them right sides together with your zipper tape sandwiched between. Line up those raw edges, pin or clip it along the way, and then we are going to attach them together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, just like before, take that lining up to the top so it's out of our way. Bring the seam allowance down towards the main exterior piece, clip it down, and then top stitch it 1/8 of an inch away. Okay, so now that that is top stitched together, we are going to take our other exterior accent piece, lay it right sides up, and then put the zipper right sides together with that exterior piece, making sure to line up the front of the zipper with the marking we made on the right and the back of the zipper with the marking that we made on the left. And once that's clipped, pin or clipped together, we are just going to sew to attach that using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, so now that that is attached, we are going to take our remaining lining piece and put it right sides together with our exterior accent piece with the zipper sandwiched in between the two. And then just pin or clip along the long angled edge there, and then we are going to sew that together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And just like before, we are going to now lift up that lining piece out of the way and the other exterior piece so that everything's out of the way, and then we are going to put our seam allowance down towards the accent exterior piece. And then once that is down, pin or clipped, we're just going to sew we're going to top stitch an 1/8 inch away along that exterior piece. So the lining piece won't be top stitched with it. Okay, so now that that is all top stitched and put together, we now have 2 exterior sets that we are going to start to attach together. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the exterior set that has the zipper pocket on it, and we're going to take the accent piece and push the lining of the accent piece to the back. So put it up towards the zipper pocket side. So all you have now is the accent exterior piece. And then do the same thing with the other exterior piece. So again, all we've got is the exterior accent piece, and we are going to lay those right sides together. There are no linings or anything else, just these 2 accent exterior pieces. And we are going to pin or clip all the way around just the bottom part of it. So not the accent flap part, but the bottom part, which is my brown part here. And then what we're going to do after we've got this all pinned and clipped is we are going to sew along the 3 sides of that box that we made. So you're going to sew down one side, across the bottom, and up the other side. It's really important. This is the only attachment points for this bag, so it's really important that we do a couple of things when we sew this. First, we need to make sure to back stitch when we start and stop our stitches so that those stitches can get locked in and they're not going to try and come apart or anything like that. Then the second thing that we're going to do is we are actually going to sew one time around the 3 edges and then sew again about a 1/16 of an inch away on the other side of that box, just so that we can really make sure that it's really sturdy, those stitches. Even if the first line of stitches comes out, we've got that second one as a backup. So again, make sure you back stitch when you start and stop your stitches on this, that we're just sewing down the 2 sides and along the bottom, and that you do a second row of stitches about a 1/16 of an inch away from your first row. Okay, so now that we've got that done, this next step had me kind of scratching my head for a second, but once I figured it out, it was another light bulb moment, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. So what we need to do is we need to fold and kind of roll and get that slip pocket exterior piece down over the accent piece and out of the way of the raw edges. So we're just kind of gonna bunch it up and get it all out of the way so that when we go to sew the 2 exterior bag pieces from that zip pocket set together, that we're not catching any of this slip pocket set in it. So just kind of pin and clip it out of the way, make sure all those raw edges are clear. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take the exterior zip pocket piece and flip it so that it's right sides together with the exterior accent piece. So you'll have the lining on the top or on one side and then the exterior pieces together on the other side. And then we're just going to pin or clip all the way around these pieces, making sure to remember that those marks that we made on the lining are where we are going to stop or start. You gotta start before you can stop. We're going to start and stop our stitches at those marks. So make sure, again, too, when you start your stitches that you're back stitching at that mark, and then when you stop your stitch that you're back stitching again, because we really want to lock those in and make sure that nothing is popping or doing anything crazy when we go to turn our bag out through it later. So go ahead and pin or clip all the way around. Again, mine's kind of taking forever because I'm using this bulky vinyl, but it does look really cute. So, and then when we go to sew it, what we need to do is we are going to sew around using a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the lining piece and a 3/8 inch seam allowance on the exterior piece. And this is going to make it so that that lining fits really nice inside the exterior and isn't all wrinkly because it has to be folded up inside of it. So just another little reminder before you start sewing these pieces together, start at 1 mark on your lining, backstitch, sew all the way around the bag using a 1/2 inch seam allowance for your lining and then a 3/8 inch seam allowance for your exterior pieces. Go all the way around to the other mark on your lining where you are going to backstitch and leave that hole open for turning your bag later. I'm going to add a little note in with this sewing video because it's one thing that I forgot to do and didn't do, and so I don't have an instruction for it. But once everything is sewn up, I did sew around twice again just because these are contact points and I don't want attachment points and I want them to be nice and stable. But once you're all done, when you get to the lining, you are going to just kind of trim once it's all done, before you flip your bag out, you're going to trim your seam allowances down so that you don't have those bulky seam allowances in there. Okay, so now that we've got it all stitched around, it is time to pull turn the bag out. Not pull it out, but turn it out. So you're going to reach in through that gap that we made at the bottom of our lining, and you're just going to work on just flipping it all so that it's right sides out. Yeah, it takes a while. It's kind of a crazy, especially because, again, the vinyl, because it's stiffer, it's harder to get out without popping any stitches or doing anything too crazy. But basically all we're doing right now is just turning the bag out through that hole. Okay, so it's really important too to make sure that all your corners are pushed out and nothing is looking too wonky. And then once that's done, just like with the other side, we're going to roll and kind of fold that zipper exterior piece up so that it's out of the way of the accent exterior piece for our flap pocket or our slip pocket. out of the way of all the raw edges. And then we are going to once it's all out of the way and clear to our raw edges are all clear, we're going to take that slip pocket piece and just fold it right sides together over on top of the accent piece and just pin or clip all the way around that. Then when you get to the marks that we made on the lining, remember that that's where we're going to start and stop our stitches. So it's really important, again, when we start and stop our stitches around that lining, that we back stitch those stitches so that they don't pull and pop when we go to turn our bag out later. Then once everything is lined up and pinned or clipped together, we are going to sew around the entire bag using a 1/2 inch seam allowance for the lining and a 3/8 seam allowance for the exterior. Again, just another note, because I didn't record it just like with the other one. Once you're done sewing it, make sure you go through and you trim those seam allowances down so that you don't have that bulky seam allowance in there when you go to turn your bag. All right, just like that, our exterior pieces are now all put together. So what we're going to do is just the same thing with the other side. We're just going to turn the bag right sides out using the hole that we left at the bottom of our lining piece. And then once that's all turned right side out, make sure again you go through, poke out, push out any of the corners, make sure nothing's looking too wonky. Okay, now that everything is right sides out, what we're going to do, just make sure again all those corners are pushed out and are laying nice and nothing is looking wonky. And then what we're going to do is we just need to close up the lining pieces. So you are going to take the hole that we left in the lining pieces and you're just going to fold that seam allowance in. So you just fold it in, half of the seam allowance in, so that it lays nice and flat. And then we're just going to top stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from the opening, so from the fold, so that we can make sure that that stays nice and closed. And then just check it too. After you're done, just turn it around, make sure, because it is such a tiny seam allowance, make sure that you caught it, because you don't want a hole in your bag and then things getting on the interior. You won't be able to get them out. It'll cause a mess. So we're just going to go ahead and close up that lining now. Now that that is closed up, all that's left is to just push it in and tuck it into the exterior pieces. So now your lining will be inside your exterior pieces. All your seams will be enclosed. And yeah, we just have to tuck that in, add our strap, and we've got a finished bag. This was really, I'm just really impressed with myself, y'all. And I'm really impressed with you, because this was my first like intense bag. And I just have to say, the instructions were well written. It was easy to follow, and it just turned out so great. I'm just absolutely in love with this, and I hope that you're in love with yours as well. And I can't wait to see your creations. And just, yeah, this was such a great sew for me. I really enjoyed this a lot. So everything's folded over, looking fabulous. Now that all that's left is just to clip that strap onto our D-rings, which I love the clips for this, because yeah, it was just an easy step. It was like, just clip it on. Make sure when you clip it on that, you know, nothing's twisted or anything. But what's nice is, because it is a clip-on strap, that if it is twisted, you just unclip it and untwist it. So yeah, this was awesome. I absolutely loved sewing this with you, and just thanks for joining me. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Yeah, if you feel inclined, please join our Facebook group and share your songbird with us so that we can see your creation. I'd love to see it. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope that you subscribe to the channel so that you can see more later. But yeah, thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye.